Welcome everybody back to the Johnny Drinks podcast. I'm your co-host Johnny. I'm here with
This is John.
and a very, very special guest, the president of the UFC, Mr. Dana White. How are we feeling?
I'm awesome, man. Thanks for
Awesome.
having me.
Yeah, well, thanks
Good
for
to
having
see
us.
you guys again.
Yeah, thanks for having us at the Prudential Center. It has been, 4 years since you guys have been here?
Yeah, probably. I mean, how long ago was COVID? 3 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
How's it feel being back in New
It's
Jersey?
good. You know, it's funny because Jersey's where it all started for us. You know, Larry Hazard Jr. is the head of the commission here. He was a martial artist his whole life, and he was the first guy to sanction MMA.
No shit.
So yeah, I mean, that's how my relationship started with Trump. You know, because we did the first two fights at the Taj, and so I actually have very fond memories of Jersey.
Jersey
I
roots,
love this
nice.
place.
Really? When did he sanction the MMA?
Back in like 2000.
So
We bought the company in January of 2001, and I think we did our first two events here.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I think it was 30 and 31. Yeah, 30 and 31 we did here.
So
Maybe it
before
was 31 and 32.
before that, where were they doing it?
What's that?
Like before here, where were they doing the UFC fights?
In places where they had no commission. They were
Really?
literally, it was like rogue underground shit.
Right.
And-
No
and-
shit.
Well, UFC then and today is contrastingly different.
Not even close.
I remember the Tank Abbott days and, stepping, breaking toes and anything goes.
Right.
Yep.
The first fight that we did at the Taj, the Trump Taj Mahal, we sold 3,500 seats, and with comps and everything, we had 5,000 people there for the first one. Wow. This one sold out 17,000 people tonight, and the highest grossing gate in the arena's history on Saturday. So
Cool.
we've come a long way from our first fight in Jersey to today.
Yeah, I'd say so.
That's awesome. Well, I wanted to dive deep into like that whole story. I know you were into boxing at a young age, right? That got you involved in the whole fight scene. Talk us through, I guess, like day one, and I want to even go before the UFC because I know your relationship with Tito and Chuck. Talk us through that and then how you got to actually getting involved with the UFC.
Yeah, so I started, me and the Fertitta brothers started taking jiu-jitsu, and we fell in love with it. We became addicted to it. So we were training 3-4 days a week, and through that, our instructor was a guy named John Lewis, and he knew all the UFC guys. So we started training with Chuck and Tito and a ton of other BJ Penn and all these other guys that would come in and train with us. And we started to meet some of these guys, and we were blown away by them. We liked them. We loved the sport. And then I started managing Chuck and Tito. Oh. And through that, I got into a huge battle with the old owner of the UFC named Bob Meyerowitz, who's from New York. And, basically we're battling over Tito's contract, and he flips out at me one day and says, you know what? There is no more money. This is it. I don't even know if I have enough money to put on one more event. And I was like, oh shit. I called Lorenzo and I said, you know what? The UFC's in trouble. I'll bet we could buy it, and I think we should. So I connected him and Lorenzo Fertitta, who was, the Fertitta brothers were my longtime partners in the UFC. And he got on the phone with Meyerowitz, and I don't know, a month and a half, 2 months later, we owned the company for $2 million.
Really? So it was you three in the beginning?
What's that?
It was you three, the brothers and you?
And me and the Fertitta brothers.
So were they the money guys, and you were the one that kind of just said, hey, this is an opportunity that and what'd you buy for?
$2 million.
$2 million.
Back in 2001, we bought it for $2 million.
It's insane.
We sold it for $4.025 billion in 2016, and it was just valued at $12.3 billion last month.
Jesus.
That sounds too simple. That sounds and courage to you. It's interesting when I hear successful stories and people that let's say, grew up with. There's always some others from the outside that say, how did he do that? And my reflection and experiences taught me that the way that person got where they are today from the person they were 20, 30 years prior is because they had balls, because they had courage, because they took a chance. Either they put up their own money and their own name, or a combination of, the two, or other influences of people to help them. But nothing comes easy. And certainly that path, when you summarize it that way, it sounds like, wow, anybody could have did it. Well, I'm not sure anyone else could have done what you've done either.
Yeah, no, it's true. And it's, some people were meant to work for themselves and some weren't. You have to be built a certain way to get up every day and work for yourself. But that's all I ever liked to do. I've worked for myself since, I was probably, I don't know, I'd say 21 years old. So,
What were you doing before this? At 21?
Before fighting?
Yeah.
I had all the odd jobs early on in my younger days, 17 to 20 years old. And then once I got into fighting, that's all I ever did. I was only involved in fighting from 21, 22 years old.
Did you want to be a pro fighter?
Yeah. At one point I did.
Yeah.
And then you realize you're not, it's no different than any other professional athlete, whether you're good enough to be a football player, baseball player, or whatever it is.
Right.
You have to come to the realization that it ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
But I always wanted to be in the fight business. So it didn't matter what part of it was. This is what I wanted to do. And I think that's one of the reasons that I've been so successful too, is because half the battle in life is knowing what you want to do for the rest of your life. You have all these kids that go to college, and you ask them what their major is. They're like, well, I'm majoring in this, but I'm thinking about getting into this, because they don't know what they want to do. They were told if they didn't go to college, they'd never amount to anything. So they're in college. But the key to everything is to figure out who are you and what do you want to do for the rest of your life. Once you figure that out, it gets a lot easier.
That's a great point. It's a great point, but that figuring it out is a longer stretch play for a lot of people. And that
100%.
Right.
There's people who are 30 and still don't know what they want to do for the rest of their life,
Oh, sure.
So I've been very lucky that I've always known that I wanted to be in the fight business. And how many people told me how stupid that was back then? Like,
I'm sure.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's much easier today to see that as an occupation, right? See that way as a business, whether you're a trainer running a gym or you want to go to whatever levels and fold into an organization now like the UFC. It's easier to envision that. There's actually young people that only know that.
Right.
But today, what you're referencing to is from, I come from, and, our high school wrestling program was like a joke. Like, no one wrestled. No one was interested in getting on a mat and doing all that. That was just a very small percentage of people that were very athletic, but, they had nothing else to do, so they wrestled.
How'd you get in? I'm going to flip this whole interview right now.
Sure.
How'd you get into making drinks?
Whoa. Wow.
Were you a bartender?
No. So what
Never bartended?
No, never bartended. The story is a great one. And actually, if Johnny and I had the pleasure and this experience of this whole thing coming to us. We were going out one night to Del Fresco's in the city, my family, my sons, my nephews, my brother-in-law, bunch of guys in the basement. He says, make a drink, pregame. I make a drink. I make a Manhattan. I smoke it. Now, my smoking game has elevated such that now we have a smoking kit. But I was smoking it on a board, made a cocktail like I always make, a Manhattan, and he's videoing. I don't think anything of it. We go out to dinner. He goes, Dad, that video that I did? I'm like, yeah, what? He goes, it's blowing up. Well, what's that mean, it's blowing up? It's going viral. It went viral through TikTok. It was the first TikTok he did filming me. It went viral. And from there, next day, he's like, we got to do this again. I'm like, what did we do? I mean, honestly, if you look at the first video, it's like cryptic to me. I'm like, I don't even understand what was so appealing about it. Yeah. But it worked.
So you made Manhattan was like your thing? You made
Manhattan's
And then
my
what was your
go-to.
second drink that you had to bust out?
We poured a bottle of blue
some
wine.
Blue wine out, and it looked really cool.
Yeah.
And then we did the third one, I think was for, because it was March time. We did something for, when was Mardi Gras?
Oh, we did a Mardi Gras.
We did some shit and this, at the time, it was quarantine. So we did the video, we go viral.
So this was during COVID?
Yeah.
It was it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't
February,
COVID. Yeah.
February 2020.
Oh, so when I met you guys, it had just all started to blow up for you guys.
I wanted to ask you. So you two
You were a turning point for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't you two
100%.
connect? How did we get it? We bought the bottle of Hollerhead.
My man
right?
Eric back there.
Did Eric connect with John?
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys. So I was watching your guys' stuff, and then you guys posted a celebrities alcohol.
Right.
And it was like Proper 12 and Howlerhead and a couple other,
Right.
A couple other ones.
Yeah. So we did a very natural, like unbiased review. And honestly, I think the other two we reviewed it with, we didn't really love. And then Howlerhead, we took a sip of, and we were both like, oh, that's really good.
Yeah.
And then Eric reached out and was like, hey, can we use that video?
Yeah.
And I was like, sure, go ahead.
It was gold.
And then I was like, wait a minute, let's see if we can start working with these guys.
Yeah.
And then he answered, you answered. I was like, there's no fucking way this is happening. And then a couple weeks later, we got on the phone. And what I loved about you guys, it was like, everybody has so many great ideas, but it's a matter of let's lock in on one and then let's take it from there. So the first idea was let's get you guys out to Vegas, make drinks with Dana White. And when that happened, I was like, this is like that pinch me moment. And that video went super well for us. I'm hoping it went super well for Hallerhead. And here we are today.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
And
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, from our age, you don't give a crap about anything. And I feel like I'm similar my whole life. I am who I am, love, like, enjoy me, good, bad, and different. I'm cool with it. I'm comfortable. So when he's like, taste this, what do you think? I'm like, tastes like crap. It tastes like shit. And we just kept doing that because why am I going to lie about it for the purpose of some monetary gain? I don't have to do that. That's not my career. It wasn't my career. Now it might be a second career. I don't know. So here we are doing things like this and just having fun, being authentic.
That's exactly right. When you do
Yeah.
it for fun,
Yeah.
it's a game changer.
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
I
that's
agree.
almost like the annoying part of content because you do look back on our first video and it's so bad from like a technical standpoint. Like I did things wrong, he did things wrong, but it just worked so well. And now we try so hard to be like we have to make it perfect, and the videos won't do as well as like your first viral
You
sensation.
don't. You got to make it real. As long
That's
as
it.
it's real,
Exactly.
People feel when it is and feel when it isn't.
Well, I wanted to ask you the question. So like you buy the UFC for $2 million. There's got to be a ton of pressure. I'm sure you have conviction in yourself and in your team that you guys can do it. But what are like those first moves you make to, I mean, because you got to flip this thing around. It's not like it was going super well and you made it even better. This thing was tanking. So
Yeah,
like,
it's
what
funny.
are the
It's
differences?
funny when you say that. We were just talking about this yesterday, and you know, if I go back and I look at, like you were saying, you go back and look at your early videos. You know, people always ask me, what would you change and what would you do differently? The answer is nothing. Everything we did, one way or another, got us to where we are today. And I couldn't specifically say what was right and what was wrong at the time, but I wouldn't change a thing. It's like today when we were just talking about, like I'll post stuff on my social media and shit. And people will be like, oh, he's being paid for this. I'm like, you fucking seriously think I'm being paid for this? Are you nuts?
Really?
What am I, a fucking Kardashian? Right. You know what I mean? It's like, trust me, nobody's paying me for shit. Right. I do stuff that I like to do. I like sharing stuff with people that, you know, it's like the whole 10X thing. I'm so into this thing right now and I feel so good. You know, I can't talk about it enough and can't tell other people. I don't snore anymore. I don't have sleep apnea anymore. Wow. My legs were all messed up. I'm not on any doctor's medication anymore. So why would I not share that with other people? You know what I mean?
Is this just a diet change? What is
this thing I get paid for? Yes, I own this. I get paid for this. Yes, but paid as in I own the company. But
Sure.
That's it.
So the 10X is what? Just the diet change? What else do you?
No, 10X is a whole health system where this guy comes in. Basically, like I told you, he's a human biologist.
Right.
And his philosophy is if he took the blood, mine, yours, and yours, we're all deficient in something, right? He puts back the raw materials and the body does the rest of the work. How does that not make sense?
Perfect.
Doctors don't cure anything. What they do is they put you on this medicine that has 10 different side effects and messes you up 10 different ways. So if you're on 3 different medications like I was, blood pressure, cholesterol, and thyroid, the side effects of those 3 drugs screw you up a million different ways. And you don't feel better, you feel like shit. And they never really fix anything. This guy does the exact opposite. He comes in and fixes everything that's wrong with you. My blood work now, coming up on a year, my blood work is perfect. Wow. I've never had perfect blood work my whole life.
It's amazing.
You know, people, listen, lots of people can lose weight. You can lose weight, you can do this and that. And it's not about that. It's about what's on the inside with me right now. I'm 53, so it's a whole different game than it was when I was his age.
Wow. Yeah. So he's analyzing then what, like medication, like supplements he's giving you?
No, we look at the blood. So he does the blood, you know, every couple months and does your blood. Then he tweaks what supplements I'm on depending on how my blood work looks.
And how fast did you notice a difference?
Oh my, 10 weeks.
Really?
So he says, I'll change your life in 10 weeks. If you can do what I tell you to do for 10 weeks, I'll change your life. We were just walking through Central Park and a guy walked up to me and said, tell me about these, a bigger dude. Tell me about this 10X thing. You know, I said, listen to me. I don't bullshit. I don't fucking, you know, do this for 10 weeks. This guy will change your life. Wow. Is Mays here? Where's Stevie Mays? Is he in here? Come here, Stevie Mays.
Steve, get over here.
Steve, what did you weigh, Steve?
Welcome, Steve, to the podcast.
You were 280. What are you now?
26 this morning.
Damn.
Nice, Steve.
Here you go, Stevie.
Congratulations.
Hell yeah. We
From
gotta get this
January
stuff. We gotta
15th, he
connect
was
with this guy.
280.
Yeah,
Let's connect
what
with this
do I-
10X guy.
Listen, I'm gonna cold plunge.
You look good though.
I'm still gonna eat and drink.
You look
and
like
do
you're
all
all
this
right.
stuff.
I don't know what the hell you're doing. Drinking alcohol all the time and
He's-
friggin', you know.
He defies biology.
Yeah,
It's
he does.
insane.
He's got-
He
I gotta
really
tell you,
does. If you watch him eat, watch him sleep, watch him drink, it's
Yeah.
like, how do you look the way you look at 57 years old? He
It
has
really is.
better blood work than I do.
So
How old is he?
57. Yeah.
57?
Yeah, I'm 5'7".
You're
yeah.
57 years old. Dude,
Yeah,
you
seven.
look great.
Thank
Yeah.
you, buddy.
He does.
Yeah,
Cheers.
Yeah,
Good for
Cheers
you.
to that.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's interesting. I want to look into more of this 10X stuff because I think that's super cool. So other than that, what else do you really have going on right now? I know Slap is super big. How's that going?
Yeah, I mean, the problem is because I become so much more productive, I'm taking on a ton of more.
Really?
Yeah, oh yeah. So Slap has been incredibly successful for us. We just did a 2-year deal for Slap that's bigger than the UFC deal when we signed with Spike.
What?
Yeah.
With who?
Yeah, with Rumble and a bunch of different sponsors.
Wow.
So we got a ton of sponsors. We did a 2-year deal with Rumble, and it's bigger than the Spike TV deal that we had coming out of the
That's
Ultimate Fighter.
amazing. Can he get on the show? He wants to slap somebody.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I will slap, but
Yeah,
no, I
but
don't
not
want to
get
get slapped.
slapped.
And then I'll step in and get slapped.
Can't slap.
It'll be like a joint
No.
deal there.
I
Yeah.
can give, but not taking it anymore.
Celeb slap match for sure.
So in
That's sick.
3 months, this thing
That's awesome.
has become incredibly successful. We're doing season 2 in Abu Dhabi, bringing in all the best guys from around the world, and the winner of that will fight the winners of season 1.
What makes a good slapper? What is
Yeah,
that?
Well, this stuff started in Poland and Russia. That's how this whole thing got started. And I don't know the answer to that. What makes a good slapper? First of all, you got to have a damn good chin. Let's start there, because you got to be able to take a slap,
Right.
to give one. Go ahead.
So before I have a question for you,
Yeah.
and it's very important, but we have to take a break real quick.
Where are we going?
A few moments later.
And we're back. Thank you, Dad, for that.
All right. So Dana, thank you. Talking about slap. So I only see highlight reels and short little things. What are the rules? Like, can you give me that real quick overview?
Yeah. So there's a lot of different rules. For instance, when these guys square off, you can't turn your feet, you can't move your feet, you can't strike with the palm of the hand. It has to be a flat slap. There's a ton of different rules, because every time that we get into something, whether it was the UFC, now Slap, we run toward regulation. We want to be regulated by the athletic commission. So, there's rules, there's drug testing. Everything that we go through here and in boxing is the same with Slap now. And, our goal is to turn, on social media, there's nothing bigger than Slap as in all of sports. To show you how much we dominate sports, our average post does 693,000 views. We're number 1 in all of sports. Number 2 is the NBA at 70,000.
Wow.
So if you take the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball, the Formula One,
Everybody.
WWE,
Hockey,
and I
everybody.
said hockey, didn't I? And hockey too, and a couple more. If you combine all their numbers, they don't beat us.
I guess it's just
we
so
beat every
attractive to
sport
watch.
combined.
Because you can either watch and be like, I love this, or I hate this. And it doesn't matter for you guys.
And you know what? There are people who hate it, but guess what? There's 8.5 billion people in the world. There's plenty of people who like it.
That love
So-
it.
Well, you have to watch it. That's my point. It's so quick. It's an instant hit, no pun intended, satisfaction, gratitude that you see what happens. So, but one other question though, is it weight class to weight? Is it weight
Yeah.
class?
Yeah.
So it's weight classed. Okay.
Yeah.
And you said some of the rules.
weight
okay.
classes, rules, drug testing, referees, judges, all exactly the same as. And you know what? This thing has existed for 3 months. We crush every sport in social media. Already did a 2-year deal that was bigger than the UFC's deal coming out on Spike TV out of the Ultimate Fighter. And I've already got this thing out in 5 different languages all over the world. This thing is global overnight.
Wow.
It is a fucking juggernaut. It's unbelievable how successful this thing has been.
Awesome.
I want to slap the shit out of somebody right now.
Yeah. Eric,
Put a
come
little
here.
No, no,
stand up. Just
So me
just
and
for
the
the
Fertitta brothers also own Ridiculousness on MTV.
Really?
We own that. We own SLS Skate League. We own Nitro Circus. We own Travis Pastrana's NRX rally car racing. We own a company called 3 Step, which basically we own every volleyball tournament in America, and a bunch of other stuff. But these are all the things that I've been working on the last the last
Amazing.
5-6 months.
So where does the idea then? You caught it. You said over in Russia. You saw them doing this in Russia.
Yeah. So the slap thing, I saw. It started popping up.
Yeah.
2017, 18 on your social media feed. I was blown away by it. Start taking a deeper dive into it and looking at it, and it's doing 350 million views on YouTube, and I'm like, what? That's like a Justin Bieber video. You know what I mean? So I started to think, what if you did this the right way? You turn it into a sport, great production, yada, yada, yada. You know what the answer is? Billions of views. That's the answer. This thing has billions of views now all over the world on all the different platforms.
So clearly for you in the space you're in, it's easy to pivot and say, I'll just, now do a branch extension, a new line. If John and I came up with the same idea, like I wouldn't even know where to start. So I guess get two guys together, put a camera in front of them. Okay. But you have the history of everything you've built. It was
so the first thing we did was we went out and got a bunch of guys. There were guys that were known for doing it in America, and we put on a private event. We taped it, we put it on to see how it would look, and we brought the commission in. And because one thing that I would never do is just go out with a live event that wasn't good. And our finale so we did a reality show, season 1 of the reality show, and then we did the finale. The finale did 3.2 million viewers on Rumble, and 1.7 million of them had never been to Rumble before. So we drove an additional 1.7 million viewers to Rumble. We absolutely killed it. So
how does that compare to the numbers of The Ultimate Fighter?
The Ultimate, that does compare. I mean,
really?
The Ultimate Fighter season 1 at the pinnacle of Josh Koscheck and Chris Lieben and that whole thing that blew up. That episode did something like 2.3 million viewers on Spike. This finale did 3.2 million viewers.
That's amazing, man. So it's essentially just like a rinse and repeat. You've done this before with the UFC. You know it works, know it doesn't work. And
realistically, this is the first sport that was ever born on social media. You know what I mean?
That's an interesting one.
Yeah, because we built a whole digital and social strategy around this thing when we launched it. We had it on TV too, on TBS. And people were shitting on our ratings.
Right.
We did good ratings.
Yeah.
Problem is all these so-called reporters have no idea what they're talking about. Everything that's been in that time slot pulls around the same numbers,
right?
Including AEW now. AEW, when we left, they replaced it with an AEW show, pulls the same numbers we pulled. So
really?
Yeah. So the media is full of shit. Literally don't listen to anything that the media says. They're all full of shit. Yeah. Every one of them.
That's a public service announcement.
Listen to us instead.
So if you have an athlete, if I have an athlete, I have some friend that just has nothing to do, and I say, we're going to get you involved in this, in SLAP. Where do they go? They just sign up for, do you have to get?
So what we do is we're doing a casting call. When I get back to Vegas on Monday, we're doing a casting call for SLAP, globally, a global.
Joe, stand up.
I was just going to say, Joe, this is my brother. Stand up, Joe.
Yeah, stand up. Maybe, can you take it?
Dude's a beast.
Yeah,
look at this guy.
It's all right.
Come on in.
This is your brother?
Yeah, it's just
Jesus
Joe.
Christ. Freaking huge,
he's
man.
he's your new SLAP
He
superstar.
might be,
He's been waiting to slap the shit out of someone.
Look at that hands on him. Jesus Christ.
We're going to get him signed up. Yeah, he's going to be casted pretty soon.
Where did he come
Don't
from?
ask.
Right?
Yeah.
Wow, Joe,
Anyway.
should I say the line?
Whose side did the size come from? Your
sure.
mom's?
Yeah,
Should
who
I say the
knows?
line? Yeah.
Who knows?
No.
He's going to be your next SLAP MVP.
Maybe. Who knows?
We do unfortunately have to wrap this thing up, and every podcast.
Why? He's still here.
He's not going. What else you got for me?
They're telling us we got to get.
Who's saying? Who's giving
he has
signals?
Is the ball?
He has the fights. He's got to go. He has fights.
Exactly.
Well, it is
you have no
20 up.
idea how much this lady bosses me around in
Yeah,
my
it's
life.
20 up.
It's
All right, that's
insane.
fine.
But I do want to ask. So we
that's
ask every guest 2 questions.
Yeah.
In your entire journey with the UFC, and whatever, regardless, what has been your most humbling moment? And then follow that up with what has been your most accomplished moment?
Accomplished is tough because, when you think about, when we first started this thing, nobody thought it would ever get back on pay-per-view, let alone free TV. We did that, our Spike deal, our Fox deal, our ESPN deal, breaking arena records worldwide when we weren't even allowed in arenas. When we first bought this company, arenas didn't want us. That was why Trump actually reached out and had us at the Taj Mahal. He got it early. Trump showed up to the first 2 events and stayed there from the beginning till the end, watched the whole fight. He's a huge fight fan. But so to nail an accomplishment, there's just been so many. The most humbling, God damn. I'm sure there's been many.
Wow, the man who
I would have to say the first my first real humbling moment was getting used to speaking publicly. I remember we had to get up and speak in front of the Nevada State Athletic. Now I can speak anywhere in front of anything. But in the early days of getting up, for all you people at home that have trouble speaking publicly, believe me, it takes time. And but the first time we got called before the Nevada State Athletic Commission, I literally stood up and they asked me a question and I froze. They literally had to get a guy with a fucking dolly to come wheel me out of there. That's how bad it was. So I'd have to say that's probably my most humbling moment that I can think of off the top of my head.
That's amazing, man. That's inspiring for, I think, me and a lot of other people, because I see you and like that, this dude is stone, can talk in front of anybody. So,
right. Now I am.
Yeah,
but it's an acquired. It takes
time.
time to get there. When I used to do press conferences, I used to spend 3-4 days just on notes and going all over this shit. Now she'll go, hey, you got a press conference in 10 minutes, or you're speaking at this thing in 5 minutes. What's it about? You know, now I could care less. But
that's awesome.
Back in the old days, public speaking is definitely something you have to work on.
Very cool.
great story.
That's it. You got any other questions?
Yeah, I want to wrap it up and just get some photos and do our thumbnails and stuff. So that's it.
That's it.
Like I said, I know you got to go, so I want to respect that.
And I just want to say before we wrap up, congrats on all your success, what you guys have built in such a short amount of time.
Thank you.
Thank
Love
you.
it.
We appreciate that.
Appreciate it.
Well, cheers, everybody. Like, subscribe, share. That is it.
That's it.
Peace.